Our car broke down just after sunset, on a stretch of highway that seemed to stretch forever into the darkness. The engine gave one last sputter before going completely silent, and for a moment all I could hear was the sound of cicadas screaming from the woods on either side of the road. I glanced over at Ethan, my 16-year-old stepson, who sat slouched in the passenger seat with his earbuds in, completely oblivious to the sudden silence. "Ethan," I said, my voice tight, "the car just died." He pulled one earbud out and looked at me. His blue eyes widened slightly as he registered the stillness inside the car. "Wait, what? It stopped? Did you run out of gas?" "No," I muttered, shaking my head. "We had half a tank. Something's wrong with the engine." The truth was, I wasn't exactly sure what was wrong. I knew enough about cars to pump gas and check the oil, but beyond that, I was useless. My husband, Mark, usually handled things like this, but he was away on a business trip in Chicago. It was just me and Ethan driving back from visiting my sister in Tennessee, and now we were stranded on a two-lane highway in the middle of nowhere. I tried the ignition again, but the engine refused to turn over. Only a hollow clicking sound filled the air, followed by another silence that seemed heavier than before. My pulse quickened. The highway was dark, and only the faint glow of the dashboard lights reminded me we weren't completely swallowed by the night. "Great," Ethan muttered. "This is just perfect." I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "It's fine. We'll call for help." Except there was a problem. When I pulled out my phone, there was no signal. No bars, no service, nothing but the time blinking back at me. I held the phone higher, leaned out the window, but it didn't matter. The woods blocked everything. "You've got to be kidding me," I whispered. Ethan checked his phone too, with the same result. He let out a groan and leaned back against the seat. "So we're just stuck here?" I didn't answer right away. Instead, I scanned the road ahead, looking for any sign of civilization. Finally, I spotted it, a faint glow in the distance, maybe a mile up the road. It was dim, but steady, like a neon sign. "Do you see that?" I asked, pointing. Ethan leaned forward, squinting.
"Yeah.
"Looks like maybe a gas station. Or a motel," I said. "Either way, we're not sleeping in the car. Grab your bag, we're walking." The air was cooler than I expected when we stepped outside. The woods on either side of the highway loomed over us, thick with shadows. Every sound felt amplified, the crunch of gravel under our shoes, the distant hoot of an owl, the rustle of something unseen in the underbrush. Ethan walked close to me, his usual sarcastic teenage attitude replaced by silence. I could tell he was nervous too, though he'd never admit it. After what felt like forever, we finally reached the source of the glow. It wasn't a gas station. It was a small roadside hotel, its flickering neon sign reading Riverside Inn. The building looked like it hadn't been renovated since the 70s, with peeling paint and a row of dim lights barely illuminating the parking lot. Only 2 other cars were parked outside. "Creepy," Ethan muttered under his breath. I couldn't disagree. The place looked like the kind of motel you see in horror movies, the kind where people check in but never check out. But we didn't have a choice. We needed shelter for the night. Inside, the lobby smelled faintly of mildew and something sweet, like old flowers left too long in water. The clerk behind the counter was a thin man in his 50s with slicked-back gray hair and a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Evenin'," he said, his voice gravelly. "Need a room?" "Yes," I said quickly. Our car broke down a mile up the road. "Just for one night." He slid the guest book across the counter. His fingers were long, his nails neatly trimmed, but his skin looked pale, almost waxy under the fluorescent light. "We don't get many travelers this time of year," he said conversationally. "Most folks pass right on through." I forced a smile and signed the book. My hand hesitated when I saw that the last entry was from almost 2 weeks ago. "Room 7, he said, handing me a tarnished brass key. Not a card, an actual old-fashioned key. "Up the stairs, end of the hall." Ethan shot me a look as we headed toward the staircase. His expression said what we were both thinking. This place was weird. Too weird. The hallway upstairs was lined with faded wallpaper, patterned with tiny roses that had long since lost their color. The carpet was threadbare, and our footsteps echoed faintly. When we reached room 7, the door creaked open on rusty hinges. The room wasn't terrible, but it wasn't comforting either. 2 beds with thin, floral bedspreads sat on opposite sides of the room. A lamp buzzed weakly on the nightstand between them. The air smelled faintly of cleaning solution, but underneath that was something else, something metallic, almost like iron. Ethan wrinkled his nose. "Do you smell that?" "Yeah," I admitted softly. We set our bags down, and I tried to make the best of it. "It's just for one night. Tomorrow we'll call a tow truck." But deep down, something about the Riverside Inn didn't sit right with me. As the night went on, that feeling only grew stronger.